Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, I want to share with you the Stampin' Up! Pick a Season stamp set, and this is one that is a free celebration gift during January and February 2025. Or maybe you're watching this video because you have this and you want some ideas. So let's get creating. And I'm going to pair, for this sample I'm going to make with you, the Pick a Season stamp set with the Everyday Arches dies. And this is, as you can see, just some layered arches. And I'm finding them very useful for creating. So we'll start with a card base of 5.5 by 8.25. And even if you live in a country that uses letter sized, doing the 8.25 might be helpful for this particular project. Now and I'll share that in just a sec. But for the card base, I am using the two-toned Lost Lagoon. So you can see that on the camera, that there's a light side and a dark side. I'm gonna have the light side on the outside. Now the reason why I suggested making it 8.25, that makes your card front 4 1/8 inch wide. And I'm going to use a piece of the Storybook Moments designer series paper on the front. Now to get that to be a mat, you would need 5 3/8 inch by 4. Now if you made your card the standard size, so it was 4 1/4, then you'd need 4 1/8 inch. And that's just an inefficient use of your cardstock. So that's why I would suggest making your card base that 1/8 of an inch slimmer so you can get more card fronts out of one sheet of paper. Now you can see that I have used one of the Arches die and already cut a bite out of the designer series paper. One of the features of the two-tone cardstock is it has a white core. So I'm just going to use a little bit of sandpaper and just sand those edges lightly, just to bring out that white edge. And you can do the same on your paper if you wish. And then I'll put this onto the card front. Okay, then I've used the die that is the next size down from the one I cut out of the paper, and I've cut a white piece. So what I want to do is just trim that slightly, and I should have done that first, but I happen to have a piece that is exactly the same because I cut 2 at a time. So I can just, what I've done is I've just lined the edge of this up to the edge of my trimmer, or the cutting area of my trimmer, and then I'm just centering this how I want it to sit, and then go ahead and take that away, and then just cut that little piece off. Now let's do some stamping. Now I have found that it's best to stamp the trunk of the tree first. So I'm going to stamp this over to the side. So my tree is going to run off the side of the project. I'm stamping that in Early Espresso. Then I'll stamp the tree in Mossy Meadow. This is the green. There's a little bit of Mossy Meadow running through this paper. Now on this tree, the picture on the front of the stamp case is how it needs to sit on top of the trunk. So you'll notice there's a place here where with a bit larger gap. That's what needs to sit on top of the trunk. So this right here. Position that like so. Now I'll use Old Olive and add some grass. And if you want to, I've got a blending brush here with Old Olive. Just add a little bit of green there if you want to just fill it in a little bit. Okay, now let's add our flowers. And I'm going to use Berry Burst for just a pop of color. And you'll want to be very gentle when you stamp, so when you're inking it up, so you don't end up with ink all around on the block. And I'll get that out of the way so don't accidentally put my hand into it. And just take your time like that. Very cute. Actually love these colors together. I'm going to take this one step further, and this step is optional, of course. I'm going to use Versamark, and I've cleaned this off even though it's stained pink, and I'm just going to go over it with Versamark, go over the flowers with Versamark, and then I'm going to add clear embossing powder just to make those flowers stand out that little bit more. Now, when using reds and purple inks, you may find that adding the clear powder will change the color a little bit. So you might want to experiment first. Hopefully you can see that. Now the flowers have a bit of shine to them. And then I've put that on dimensionals, and we'll put that into our little slot, and you can see the gap of the Lost Lagoon showing behind. I quite like the effect, and it doesn't take actually that many layers or materials. And then I like to have a little bit of splatter. Not everybody's liking that, but you could use your Lost Lagoon marker and just add a little bit there. And then we'll just add our word. And I've used the Best Birthday Wishes from the Stippled Rose stamp set, because the Pick a Season actually doesn't have any words in it. So you'll need to have some words to go along with this. And I'd like to use the gold twisted thread on this one. And I'll make quite a big bow. And then just tuck that behind. And we'll put that on with dimensionals like this. And then we just want to add, I think, a little more gold. And these adhesive back dragonflies and birds, I thought, went really nicely with the tree image. And these are also a favorite. I like that the birds go in different directions. So I'm going to put one there to kind of cover up that little green smudge that I got on there. And then maybe one just up there. There we go. And that is our project, featuring the Pick a Season stamp set, the Everyday Arches dies, and the Storybook Moments Designer Series paper. And here's one that I made earlier. And you can see it's the same, except I used the Lost Lagoon for my flowers for a more monochromatic look, and I used linen thread instead of the gold twine throughout there. I think I actually prefer it with that splash of color, but this would also be a really cute one to make a little set of them as a gift and just have all the roses different colors. Now I have a few more samples to share with you for your inspiration. This one is a fun fold that I shared in a previous video, not too far back if you want to check through my library. This is a double pocket fun fold, and I have just some little tags that slide down in there. And I've used the Hearts of Elegance papers for a really bright and fresh background. And then for this one, this slimline card, I've used gray granite as a base and just used very neutral colors with gray granite and old olive, and then used real red for a nice splash of color for something a little bit different. And just use also portions of the tree rather than the whole tree. And then this one is a bit of a fun fold that was shared by my team member Bernie Root about a year ago at one of our team events. So it's a little card that slides into this pocket and then tucks behind the word label. And I've also added the feature of it being an opening card as well. And these papers behind here are from the fruit papers that are also a celebration gift. And for this one, you see that instead of using the roses, I have used the hearts that are in the Pick a Season stamp set. And then these two kind of go together. These are ones that my daughter Sophie and I designed. They made this one and Sophie made this one, and the tree, instead of being just inked and stamped, has been sponged using the sponge daubers with various colors to get more of an autumn look. And then the hearts are copper embossed for a bit of texture. And then we've used the Timeless Plaid papers in behind there for those nice rich autumn colors. And Sophie also added the cute little bunny from the Storybook Moments stamp set. And for this one is another little bit of a fun fold. It's just like an accordion fold. And I have, instead of using the stamps, used flower dies there in the middle of the tree, and then inside kept it nice and flat, but used the tree and the stamps in a different way, more for borders and accents rather than a tree, so you can use them that way too. So there are my samples for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. And of course, share with a friend if you know someone who would enjoy this video too. This is Jackie Williams, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.